Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode with your girl Audrey Codner from ACCUPLACER Tutoring. Hopefully, you guys are doing well this evening. Oh, hold on. So we are actually going back to the book, back to the basics. I've noticed that a couple of my current clients are having some problems with this, so I'm going to address it here. So if you want to come along, if you are GED, ASVAB, ACCUPLACER, or even a student that's currently in Algebra 1, maybe in the early signs of Algebra 2, this is the live for you. So what we're going to be doing is just breaking down how to simplify a radical expression. So most of the radicals are going to be of the square root persuasion, and we're just going to be breaking it down not only with numbers, but also with variables. So as you guys are coming on in, come on in, tap the screen. If you are one of my followers or want to be one of my followers, go ahead and hit the orange heart, just so we know that you are here. And just kind of check in, just make sure everything's going all right. If you're like, oh, when are we going to do some more like construction stuff? That is going to happen tomorrow. Now, tomorrow is going to be jam-packed, so I'm definitely with tutoring, so I'm definitely going to be coming on a lot earlier than today. So I'm thinking of roughly like sometime early afternoon. It's either that, I'm going to go late evening, but I'm going to try to push for the early afternoon. All right, so I'm going to get started. Today's not going to be too long, but it is going to be educational. So let's break down the first one. So let's say we have our square root of 125 n. Okay, let me see if I can zoom in so you guys will be okay. All right, so we're looking at the square root of 125. So when we're breaking down our radicals, we definitely need to understand our perfect square roots. Okay, so I'm going to come back to my handy dandy notebook and going to take a look at definitely the perfect square roots. So inside my book, I have like all of the perfects, and we're looking at our roots so we can figure out which is going to be best with our 125. Now, as we can all see, we have 121 and we have 144. So when we're looking at square root of 125, we need to take a look at a number that is going to be closely related, which is a square. So we're looking for what's called the perfect prime combination. So the first thing, as I teach people that are just learning it for the first time, I like to split my numbers and then the variable and put them in their own square roots. Now, the square root of 125. Now I know if I want to get that perfect prime combination, I need to think what two numbers multiplied together will give me 125. So since it ends with the 5, I'm going to take a look at the square root of 25 as well as 5. Okay, so we're kind of looking at factors really of like 125 and what will work best for us. Okay, so now square root of 25, 25 times 25, that will give us our 125, right? So now the square root of 25, that gives us a whole number of 5. That's our perfect square root. Whereas the square root of 5, that's our prime. Okay, prime cannot be broken down. But now let's look at this variable. We have that square root of n. Now, this is basically saying that I have one singular n in a squared world. So in order for this n to come out, it has to come out with a pair, right? N times n, aka n squared. So since we don't have an n squared, this is considered a prime as well. So we could bring that on down, but now it looks weird. We got two radicals. So since both of these are prime, put them in one square root. So we have 5 square root of 5n. This is your answered simplified. Okay. Yes, Phoebe, there you go. 5 root 5. All right. So this part right here in the middle, like especially this part here, after you get used to it and you get used to in the whole process of it, you would probably skip this step. Okay. So I'm kind of going through it nice and slow. Same thing with the separation, because after you do it for a while, you just don't worry about separating. But I'm just really working on people that are just seeing it, either haven't seen it for a long time or, maybe seeing it for the first time. Okay. So let's take a quick look at the next one. All right. So let's say, let's go with the square root of 200 m to the 4th n. So we got the square root of 200 m to the 4th n. All right, so really just trying to break it on down. Oh, thanks everyone for the follows. You currently learning this in school, Omar? All right, excellent. Because I just had a few clients that were dealing with it, and I was like, let me break this down. All right, so just for those that are just starting it, first thing I like to do is give each of them their own radical. Some people may say, you could just do da-da. But if you haven't seen it and you don't really know why you're doing stuff, I just kind of like to take it step by step. All right. So now we're going to take a look. Oops. I'm going to try to use this little piece. So we're just going to take a look at the square root of 200. Now, square root of 200 can be broken down into a perfect prime combination. Here's the shortcut. All right, instead of doing the square root of 10 and the square root of 20, stop that. They both end in 0, okay? So the 200 is both ending in 0. So that means we can factor out our 100, and what's left is going to be 2. So I know the square root of 100, that again is a perfect square root, which gives me a whole number of 10. It's not a square root of 10. Once it's a perfect, it comes out of the square root. Now, the square root of 2 just comes on down. Okay? Isn't that a lot easier than trying to break down 20 and try to break down 10 and then you got to multiply? There's too much stuff. I'm lazy. I like to kind of get right to it. All right? So that takes care of our square root of 200. Now, the square root of m to the 4th. We can do this one of two ways, okay? And I'm going to actually write that on this piece of paper. So we could translate this to an exponent, because that's basically what it is. It always has your degree over your root. So I have a base. I'm going to put it up here. My square root of m to the 4th. I have my base, which is m. Now, if I want to change this, my degree is to the 4th. And the root, what type of root it is, it's a square root, which is 2. I can divide that. 4 divided by 2, that gives me 2, which is just simply m squared. So you could translate it from a root to an exponent and to see if you can divide it evenly, which we do. That's one way. Let's go basic. Anytime you see a square root, it's assumed that there is a 2 there. Why take that step of breaking it down into an exponent where you can actually think of it this way? I want to group my m's into 2's. So if I have 4 of those bad boys, and I want to group them into 2's, how many groups do I have? I got 2 groups. So that will be m squared. Or, here's another quick check. If this is even and you got a square root, just take half of that. You're like, there's so many ways. I know. So what would be the easiest way for you? Do you want to change it from a root to an exponent and then divide? Do you want to write out how many m's and see how many groups of 2's you can get? Or do you want to simply take your exponent and divide by 2? Especially if it's an even exponent and it's an even root, you can just do that. All right. So to come back to this, I'm going to bring it down to here. This is coming out of the radical because I have an even number that's going to break down that radical. Joe, I'm going to get to that. All right. Now, we have the square root of n. So square root of n is very similar to what we were just doing with our m. Let me put it... Let me use this paper here. So if we have the square root of n, we can do one or two ways. Well, my degree, if I don't see anything, is a 1. Okay. And my root is a 2. So I can, if I divide 1/2, all I'm going to do is get a decimal. That doesn't make anything nice and even, right? So I have 1n, but I need to group them in 2's. I don't have enough to group them. Okay, it needs to be in groups of 2. There's only one of them, so I can't do that. So basically, I can't break down that square root of n. I don't have enough for it to come out of that square root. So what happens? It's going to stay inside that square root. All right. So now let's go here and let's clean things up. So anything that's not inside of a radical, we're going to combine them. We're just going to put them together. So that gives me my 10 and my m squared. And anything that's still under the radical, we're going to put them together, which gives me my 2n. This is your answer. Okay. Okay. Is this Algebra 2? It's kind of like Algebra 2. I want to say. If it's not honors, Algebra 1, second semester, it's definitely seen a lot in Algebra 2. Okay. Yep. Is that Doxy? All right. Hey, Danny. All right. And you were in honors? Oh, okay. Were you in public or Catholic school? That's another thing. Believe it or not, there's a difference. Oh, yeah, we got plenty more, Laura. Oh, we have so much more. right, so let's do this one. Public? Really? What state? Because believe it or not, every state teaches their curriculums different. Kentucky? Okay. Yeah, I'm in Maryland. So yeah, they usually do this for honors, Algebra 1, second semester. Isn't it weird, right? Everyone has the same title, the same type of thing, but everyone teaches it differently. All right, let me raise this up here. So we have the square root of 64 m cubed, m cubed. So user 99, what's being raised to the third power? Is the whole radical being raised to the third power? Or is just the 3 being raised to the third power? This is also seen in college algebra, Miss Kathy. There you go. Well, don't take a 0. You got to learn something in order for you to be tested on it. Okay. Well, standard? No. Every state's different, Joe. Every state is different. The whole radical? Okay, so you're multiplying the square root of 3 times. Okay. And then you'll get some cancellation. So we're saying 8m to the third, n to the third. Okay, you're struggling college algebra, do live videos. Okay. Yes. So I'm going to explain that in a moment. There's an 8 in there. Okay. All right. So let's break this up. And I think breaking it up helps you guys so it's able to see it. Because when you try to dabble all of it all at once, it's too much. You know, like, hey, I want that chocolate cake. Don't eat the whole thing. Take a slice. If you want to come back to it, you can come back to it. You know, where's the cake going? Cake's not going anywhere. Well, unless you got kids, then that shit's gone. It's gone. You better get what you can get. Because once they discover it, it is gone. You eating the whole damn cake. All right. So, let me see if I can get my sheets of paper here real quick. I know, right? It's a shame that you pay all the bills, do everything. I never understood that. My parents never had to do that. I'm the only child too, so you know. But my goodness, people be hiding underneath their couches, and I'm like, what are you doing? Girl, I gotta hide this food. What? Oh no. All right, so break it down. Square root of 64, that gives me perfect square. Okay, it's a square root, not a cube root. So it's a perfect square because 8 squared gives me that 64. So my square root of 64 is just 8. Okay, no radical, no fanfare, that's it. So now we're going to go with this square root of m cubed. Now, if I could, which you're going to allow me to do anyway, if I could rewrite this, because I know this is a square root, so that means I need to group things in 2s, right? So I could rewrite this as m squared times m, because it's an odd number. So this is what I think it was Joe was asking, like what happens if it's not an even number? So you can think of it this way. Let's make it into something that makes it more manageable for us to, cancel out. So if I did m to the square times m, it still is equivalent to m cubed because I got 2 m's here, I have 1 m there, and it gives me 3. So now I can group this perfectly fine in a group of 2. So I have one group of 2s. But here's the thing. I still have 1 left over. So that's going to stay under the square root. Okay? So if you want me to write it out, let me see if I can get that one paper. Let me get it this way. So if I have the square root of m cubed, now m cubed is the same as saying m times m times m. And if I need to group them in 2's, how many groups of 2's do I have? I have 1 group. So that's going to be my m. And then this m that's left over stays in the radical. Okay. All right, does that make sense a little bit? Because we're going to be doing a lot of these. All right. Okay. All right, so that's how we got our m. Now, we have n, the square root of n cubed. Hey, this looks very familiar. So this is basically the same as saying n squared times n. So how many groups of n's do we have? Well, we can do 1 group. And then there's going to be 1 n remaining under the radical. Very similar to what we did with the m's. So now, let me cover this part up and focus on what we got. Let's clean it up, because basically we got our answer here. So we have the 8. What's outside these radicals, we're going to gather together. So that's your m and your n. And what remains underneath the radicals just gets combined together, but underneath the radical. I'm going to bring that down so y'all can see that. Okay. Oh, thanks, Nikki. Okay. So do 3 divided by 2 and you get 1 remaining. Yep. Yes, you can, Clinton. Yes, you can. All right. I do not. Not for my lives. For my tutoring sessions, yes, I do, but not for these labs. Okay? Because it always seems like there's a big demand. Hello, Joseph. There's a big demand for algebra than it is for geometry. All right, let's do another one. Let's say the square root will go 75 x squared y. So the square root of 75x squared y. Okay, no problem. Yeah, I think, Clinton, I think you missed the part where I showed that, yeah, you could show it as an exponent. Okay. Now you're lost again? Okay. Hey, Laura. So in 6th grade, but I want to prepare my brain. Not a problem. Miss Laura, not a problem. Trust me, you are not the only parent that I've had that I've actually tutored, because some people want to actually teach their kids. And they're just like, dude, I haven't seen this since I was a fetus. Like, I need assistance. And I'm like, not a problem. And I tutor adults to help with their kids that they're homeschooling, or just even, just after school help. So let me know. All right. Now, first step, here we go. Let's put them in their own radicals. All right. So we have the square root of 75, square root of x squared, and the square root of y. Now, as I said, once you get used to this, you'll automatically be like, okay, boom, square root of 75, and you'll be able to break a 75 down. But for right now, I just want to show it to you step by step. So let's get with, wow, the square root of 75. Okay, no problem, my choice. Go ahead and just message me. All right, so square root of 75, that can be broken up. And I need for it to break up into a perfect prime combination. So 75, every time I think of 75, I automatically think of quarters, like the actual coins. So I know that 25 times 3 will give me 75 because 3/4 gives me 75. This works great because the square root of 25, that can be broken down into a whole number of 5. Because 5 squared, which is 5 times 5, will give us our 25. This square root of 3 is prime. That means it cannot be broken down. You will get a lovely decimal. So if you cannot break it down, bring it down. Okay. Okay. Now let's take a look at the square root of x squared. Okay. Thank you, Eva. All right. Just want to split it so we won't have so much paper here. All right, so now we have that square root of x squared. So I know I want to group my x's into 2's, put them into groups of 2's, right? So we can do this. We have our 2, it's a square root, so 2 divided by 2 will give me 1. Or this is a perfect square. Because remember, squares and square roots, they're inverses of each other. They naturally just cancel each other out. So what you remain is an x. Okay. Now, sliding over, we have the square root of y. The only way it can get out of this radical is if it's in groups of 2. Well, there's only 1. So we can't break this down. So this is going to be considered prime. So if I can't break it down, I'm going to bring it down. Okay, so let me cover this up because basically this is our answer. So what's outside? We have our 5, and our x. And what remains under the radical is our 3 and our y. And that's it. Okay. All right, are we all right? Okay, so again, if this is too much, it will show up. Okay, so don't run away thinking like, oh, we're never going to do this ever again. No, if you're going to take your GED, your ASVAB, your ACCUPLACER, basically any exam from A to Z, they always have some kind of radical that's going to require you to break it down. Okay, so if you want to break it down into steps, you can break it down into steps until you start feeling comfortable and confident with it. Some practice books. Okay. Yep, I'm working on building my own practice books. Just wanted to share that little information. Someone asked about videos. Okay, before I get to the next one, let me just do this little bit. So if you go, I'm sure you can see that. There we go. Okay, if you go here and you type in this, or even my name, okay, you will see, and then look at the playlists, you will actually see a playlist name entitled TikTok Lives. And you will see all of my TikTok lives from February 2nd till yesterday. Okay, all God knows how many hundreds of them, right? So it hits on so many different concepts. So if you're like a homeschool parent and you want to get yourself adjusted, most of the stuff is basically Algebra 1 stuff, but I do on occasion put some geometry in there. Also some probability questions, a little bit of statistics up to like standard deviation, nothing too intense. But also a little bit of Algebra 2. So like radical functions and solving radical functions or equations. So if you want to go there, this is where you can go. And if you can, go ahead and subscribe. I'm almost at 1,000 followers in there, and I'm really, really happy about that. So it's taken me some time, I love to see when things are starting to grow, and people are saying that the replays does help, because sometimes we can't just remember what we do. We were just sitting here doing a doom scroll, and all of a sudden you got some black chick over here teaching math. Didn't know that you needed it in your life, but here you are. Okay. All right. Yep, this is simplifying radical expressions because they're not equations, because we're not solving for anything. We're just simplifying. Okay, not a problem. You just didn't know. With the second part, wow. Yes, would the second part of the radical always attach to the plain number? Yes. Okay, the whole number always goes before the radical, because you don't want to put it behind, because our eye, the way that we see things, all of a sudden we'll say, oh, square root of 35. Oh, wait, I got to break that down. And all of a sudden now you got a number that doesn't really exist, and then you get it wrong on the test, and your teacher's like, you should have stopped right here. And, so to eliminate that, we always put the whole numbers in front of the radicals. All right, let's. Oh, geez. We don't want to get that close. All right, let's try. Let's get a little funky with it, shall we? You're like, oh no, Audrey. I'm like, nah, come on. Come on. Just a little bit funky. Just a little bit. And you keep forgetting, I'm right here to help you through it. And if you can, while I'm setting this up, go ahead and tap away. That would be awesome. Bring some more people to the FYP so everyone can enjoy the love and attention. But at the same time, there's probably tons of people that needs help with this right now. I forgot who said that they're doing this. I think it was Omar. Say he's currently doing this in his class. It might be some other kiddos that's like, I need to do this. All right. Well, thank you, Mika. I tried to be calming. No, don't be scared. Don't be scared. I appreciate you trusting me. Do not be scared. I'm here. I'm not going to be like, all right, here's the next problem. All right, thank you for coming to the live. See ya. I'm not going to do that. All right, let's build this up. Now, as I mentioned before, this time, what's different is we have a -3 that's in front. All this is happening is -3 is being multiplied to this radical. Okay, so if I wanted to put a multiplication sign like a dot, or if I wanted to put parentheses, I can. It doesn't matter. This is still saying that I'm taking -3 times this radical. So the -3 right now, I'm just going to put it off to the side. It's just going to be my trifling friend right over there. So now, just like how I did the other ones, I'm going to give each of these terms their own radical. So we have square root of 24. We have the square root of a to the fourth. We have the square root of b squared. And we have the square root of c cubed. Okay? So now we're not worried about what's up here anymore. And we're going to focus our attention down here. But for the -3, we're just going to pretend that's not there. And we're going to focus on the square root of 24. So now, square root of 24. This can be broken down. I need a perfect prime combination. Okay? What two numbers multiplied together would give me 24, one of them being a perfect square root and the other one being a prime square root? What do you think? Throw them up in the chat. Okay. Kiara's saying 64. J-Dub saying 4 and 6. Okay. Dreams are saying 12 times 2. AP saying 3 and 8. 4 and 6. 6 and 4. 8 and 3. 8 and 3. 4 and 6. 4 and 6. Okay. So, those that are saying 3 and 8, 8 can still be broken down. Those that are saying 2 and 12, 12 can still be broken down. Those that are saying 4 and 6, that is going to be my perfect prime combination. So you're probably saying, well, Audrey, hold on. Slow down, girl. You're doing too much. Because the square root of 6, 6 is not a prime number. Like 3 times 2 can give me 6. And you are correct. But if I break down the square root of 6 with 3 and 2, both 3 and 2 are prime numbers. So I can't get anything out of it. I can't break it down any further. So instead of leaving my answer with 2 square roots, we keep it as 1. Square root of 6 is one of many what they call special radicals. So of the special radicals, let me make a list of that so we can get that. So we have the square root of 6 is special radical. Square root of 10. Not 12. 15. Almost forgot. Square root of 21. And I think that's the ones. Those are the most popular ones. So these are like the most popular special radicals. The reason why I say that, square root of 10 is 5 and 2. Both 5 and 2 are prime numbers. Square root of 15 will give me 5 and 3. Both 5 and 3 are prime numbers. 21, that will give me 7 and 3. Both 7 and 3 are prime numbers. So if I can't break it down, we're going to bring it down. All right? So back to this, square root of 4, that gives me 2. And since I can't break down that square root of 6, I'm going to bring it on down. Okay. Now, I'm looking at the square root of a to the 4th. What would that give me? Okay, hey April girl, thanks for checking in. Oh, I know, Karma. I know there's a so much easier way, but I just like to take it step by step so it won't be too overwhelming. Okay. Okay, so we have our a squares, It's like, Jenny. Jenny. All right, not 2a, but a squared. Yes, a squared, a squared, a squared. All right, so Susan, no, what happened? No. Okay, the reason why it's a squared, remember, a to the 4th is a times a times a times a. And if I can group them, because the different type of radical we have, we got one group of 2 A's and one group of 2 A's. So we have 2 full groups of A's. Easy way to think of it. What's 4 divided by the root? The type of root is a square root. So it's like a 2 that's there. Okay. So 4 divided by 2 will give me 2. So A to the second power. Okay. Hey, Marvelli, how are you? All right. So now, what do I get for the square root of b squared? Put that in the chat. What do you think? There you go, living abroad. There it is. Nice. Living abroad saying b. What's that? Single mitts B, Sarah B, Jared B, Jen B, Dorothy B, 2 times B, Ethan B, Danny B, okay, Smiling Heart B, K B, Honor B, Sarah B, Bad Mama Gamma B, K B to the 4th, Curtis B, B, K, AP Florida B, there you go, Lucy B, Chaz B, excellent. If you think of it this way, square and square roots, they're inverses of each other. They do cancel each other out to give me a b. If you can't remember that, remember, it's your degree divided by your root. 2 divided by 2 gives me 1. And b to the first power is the same as saying b. Now, last but not least, okay, b. Now, last but not least, okay, if I try to divide 3 divided by 2, it's not going to give me an even number. What do you think? For high level math? I know people that do higher level math, Ethan, like my friend Robert. Robert, the AP guy, he does higher level math. But I don't know if he's like me because I'm the only me out there, just like you're the only Ethan. But you can give him a try. Okay? Yeah, you're not distracted. It was a question. All right? So we got c squared times c. Ooh, okay. We got c times c squared. There we go. Okay. So you got your 3 halves. All right. So now, if anything, if you want to see it this way, because some people like to see the whole process, I can make this odd number by pulling out one of the c's, and what remains is an even amount. So now I can think of it almost like as 2 processes. So the square root of c squared, that's going to give me c. Let's see where it goes here. And the c that we pulled out remains under the radical. So anytime, if just in case you haven't figured it out, anytime you have an odd number as an exponent that's under a square root, pull one of them out. Pull one of those radicals out, which would be this. And then you divide what's remaining by 2. It works every time, okay? 4 square roots. Cube roots, different world, okay? But I'm just working on square roots right now. Okay, so now, covering all of this up, we're going to take what's outside the radical and make them their own. So we have our 2, we have our a squared, okay, we have our b, we have our c, and we have our square root. And what's under the square root is 6 and c. What's missing? There we go. Okay. The -3. Good. The -3. Yeah, we can't forget about the trifling aspirin. You know, let's go to the movies. You got any money? No. Oh, you know what? I would love to get some popcorn. You got any money? No. All right. So we need to multiply this -3 that was hanging out with the 2. Okay? So our final answer is going to be -6 a squared bc square root 6c. This is our official answer. I be snitching. No, see, I can't say I be snitching because I'll be the one. I haven't gone to the movies in forever, but I'll be the one that's like, dude, I am not, and I repeat, am not going to pay no $20 for some dried nuggets, dried popcorn, where I could pop my own, bring a drink, have some ice cream. Oh yeah, I'll be having a whole feast. I'm not as bad as some of my friends. Like literally one of my friends brought a whole roasted chicken. Like literally went to the supermarket, bought a roasted chicken. And I was like, girl, where we going? We're going to the movies, right? She's like, yeah. I'm just getting some stuff. But a whole chicken. Why are we in the movie theater and a whole chicken? Just smelling all of it. They're like, that's all good. Did they have chicken at this place? I know they got fried chicken. Doing too much. just doing too much. I even forgot what movie we were watching. It's just doing too much. But I love her though. She my trifling ass friend. She's the one that if you ever go to an outdoor concert, you want her to be your friend. Because you go in, but you come back not the same. But you sure as hell had fun. Oh, kiddos. All right. So let me leave you with this one. I want to see what you can do. Okay? And if it's like, Audrey, I just got here, that's all right because I'm going to break it down. Because this is not the space for you to be freaking out. But I want to see what you can do. Okay. So you have little to no distractions. And when you're done, if you can continue tapping, that will be awesome. So I want you to break this down to the best of your ability. We got 2, the square root of 8p squared, q cubed, r. I know, it sounds like some kind of disease that we need that we need help with. You need this? All right, welcome in. Why did I drop the 2, Julia? Because the square root and squares are opposites of each other. They actually cancel each other out. So what will remain is just going to be the b. Okay? Or Ethan just asked you that. This one is mostly like Algebra 2. And apparently in Kentucky, they don't do it in Honors Algebra 1, but in Maryland, they do. Okay. All right. Thank you for is that the Burning Heart rock card? Texas is like what? Do they teach us in Honors Algebra 1 in Texas? It's like this. Okay. Jonesy. Hey, how you doing? Welcome in. Okay. It's like my math stopped. Okay. Oh, DZ, let me tell you. I want to say there's a lot And especially it's a lot so we can go into more college prep. But in order for the kids, and this is what happened, what I've seen when I was in the classroom, they do a lot of this and a lot of Algebra 2. Because years ago, you didn't need Algebra 2 as a high school requirement. You just really needed like 3 years of math, and your fourth year of math was like a semester class that you took either statistics and you did like a whole bunch of flipping of coins and spinning of spinners. And then the second part was either personal finance or what they call consumer math. Then they decided, no, our kids are going into college. So we're going to get rid of personal finance and consumer math, and we're going to make them do Algebra 2. So that's why this is a high school requirement now. You're welcome. That's what happens when you've been around for a long time. You see a lot of shifts. All right. I know. Personal finance was awesome, and I used to teach it. I loved it. Because some of the things that you guys come up with, holy hell. I'm like, baby, how much do you think a baby, the first year, how much do you think it's going to cost for a baby? People came up with $8,000. I'm like, for a whole year? Like, yeah. Yo. And you got, no. And you got one coming up? Ugh. Credit cards is free money. No, it's not. Who told you that? It was like every day I had a headache. Every Friday. So then I made sure when they got rid of it that I always did financial Fridays. That was the one thing I used to do. Yeah, the district didn't like me, but I don't care. See what I'm doing now? I'm popping up. I'm blowing up. I know. They don't want you to do any life changing. They want to control, my babies. But that's why you have some teachers that are just like the ones that want to step outside the molds. Those are the ones you want to love and appreciate. All right. Let's get it going. All right. So let's break all this stuff up. So we have our 2. I did see a few answers. I did see a square root. We have square root of 8. We have our p squared. We have our q to the 3rd power. And we have our r. So let's focus on one at a time. Let's focus on the square root of 8. So square root of 8. What would I get to break it down? What would be my perfect prime combination? For the square root of 8. I do not teach proofs here. No. Girl, you don't have to tell me. You do not have to tell me. All right, so 4 and 2, 4 and 2, 2 and 4. Awesome. So I like to put the perfect in front because it just naturally flows. So now we have our trifling friend here with the 2. We have the square root of 4, which is perfect. That gives me a 2. And then we break down my square root of 2. Because if I can't physically break it down any further, I'm going to bring it down. But then right here, the 2 that was in front times the 2 that we got from the square root of 4, we can multiply those 2. Okay? So that will give us 4. And then we bring down our square root 2. Okay? So that all came from 2 times square root of 8, and we break it down. All right. Hey, South Africa. All right. So now, let's get with the square root of 2. So with the square root of 2, we know that squares and square roots, they're inverses of each other. Or if you want to think of it this way, what's half of 2? Half of 2 is 1. So I want to get it all the way down here. So this is just going to give me p, okay? Because the square and the square roots, if they do cancel each other out, what's left? It's just going to be the p without the radical. So here we have the square root of q cubed. I know, right? Try to say that 5 times fast. Now, if I pull one of those q's out and keep it in a radical, that means I'm going to have 2 q's left underneath. And just like we said, a square and a square root, they cancel each other out. So you got q times the square root of q. Okay, good, living abroad. Then we have what's left. Square root of 4. And 4. Seeing things. Square root of r. I was just looking around the room and I saw something with the 4 and I just said it. I don't know, it's crazy. But square root of r. Square root of r, we can't break that down. Okay, it's only one r. They have to be in groups of 2 in order for them to get out of the radical. So if I can't break it down, I'm bringing it down. Okay, so instead of you stressing yourself with all this, let me focus all our attention right here. I'm like on the edge of my desk right now, which is hilarious. I'm like, why am I so intensified? So now, anything that's not under a square root, we're going to combine those. So we have our 4, our p, our q. Now everything that's under a radical, we're going to combine. So you got my square root, and then you had your 2, q, and r. This is your answer. Okay, good. What happened to the q for the q3? Okay, so if I may, I'm going to put this in green so you can see it a little bit better. So you have q squared and you have q. Q squared, remember square and the square root cancels out. So this q was this q right here. And what remains is this q underneath the square root. So it stays underneath the square root. So the q that we got out of the square root is right here. And the q that remained in the square root is right here. Okay. Not a problem. Not a problem, Gotti. All right. You got it, Laura? Good. All right. You're smarter now. You've always been smart. Why do people keep thinking that they're not smart? Who put that thought in our heads? Don't worry, I used to think the same thing. I'm dumb as hell. I'm doing this. I don't know. Trust me, I have no idea how I became a math teacher. Don't know. I used to suck at math. I guess you just don't ask. The Lord just says, do this. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for the follows, everyone. Hello, Andy. All right. Not a problem. So go ahead. Let's see if we can do another one. I have faith in you. Let's see. Let's try this one. Okay, give this one a try. So 3 times the square root of 16, x to the 4th, y to the 4th, z. for your calculus class. Oh, no. Aw. I just like when people win. I like when they break through a barrier. And once you realize that you can learn math, you can do anything. Like, seriously, how good do you feel when you're like, oh my God, I totally got it. I got it after, before she even explained it. How good does that feel? I want you to continue to have that feeling. Okay. So Naomi's saying 12x squared, y squared, square root of z. A chem engineer. Funny thing, you kind of say that. One of my current clients, before, we've been working together for, 3 years? About like 3 years, almost 4 years now. Good gosh, can't believe it. And they were about to put him in special ed because they're like, oh, he doesn't know, he doesn't understand, he doesn't get anything, he's widely, all this kinds of crazy stuff. And he was a referral from another tutor. And ever since, he's been getting A's, went from failing classes, ready to throw him in special ed, all this stuff, to getting A's, scored the highest percentile for his state's testing. And now he wants to be an engineer. And his mother was like, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I'm like, he's always had it, he always had it within him. Awesome. I love that. Okay. Sure, here when I was in high school. we're probably in the same class. I was without social media. Yeah. This thing called TikTok wasn't around when I was in school. We didn't even have MySpace. I remember when the internet was first coming out. That's how old I am. I remember when Apple came around, and I remember there was something called a VIC Commodore computer, which used to use floppy disks, which none of you guys probably don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. Yeah, that's how old I am. So, let me put my old ass back to work. So I have 3, and I break down the square root of 16. Then we have x, the square root of 4. Then we have y, radical square root of 4. Then I have z. All right. Oops. From floppy disk. I know, man. Yep. Remember when they were first talking about the internet? Oh my God. At that time, the electric typewriter was the hip and happening thing. It's like, ooh, an electric typewriter that types out one line. You type it out, there's a little screen, and then you hit enter, and then it prints it all out for you. So here we are. We have our 3 square root of 16. So we still have our 3 on the outside. Square root of 16, that's a perfect square root, because 4 times 4, or 4 squared, will give me that 16. Now 3 times 4, that gives us our 12. All right, so that takes care of that part. Sliding over. Now we're going to deal with x to the 4th, square root of x to the 4th. Since it's an even number, go ahead and since it's a square root, divide that by 2. That's basically what we're doing. So that gives you x squared. It's only when it's an odd number, that's when you got to pull one of them out. So now we have the same thing, square root of y to the 4th. Well, half of 4 is 2. So I'm going y squared. And then here we have the square root of z. Since it's to the first power, it can't get out. So we're going to bring it down. If I can't break it down, I just simply bring it down. So now, just need to cover up this, because this is basically our answer. The only thing that needed to stay underneath the square root is the z. So if you want them together, you can just do your 12, x squared, y squared, square root of z. Okay. So 3 doesn't distribute to every... No, it's not distribution. Because this is not a parenthesis, it's a square root, okay? If it was a parenthesis, yes, you can distribute the 3. But remember, the 3 is a whole number. The 16 is a whole number, okay? Once we broke down that square root of 16, you multiply the 3 to only the whole number, okay? These are exponents. Exponents and whole numbers, two separate worlds. Okay, thank you for asking that. Thanks! How are you? Good. Not a problem, Tatiana. Appreciate you. Okay. I didn't see you earlier. Hey, Janice. I had to like scroll. I was like, let me see if I'm missing some people. Oh, Winnie, you are so sweet. I was in my 40s. I just had a birthday. I'm 53. Yep. Yes, your comp science class used floppy disk. Yep. And here's the funny part. Okay, this is 2026, right? I mean, 2025. Got a little advanced myself. There are still some districts that use floppy disks to store data for education purposes. Like if you go to your district office or even your state level, they still use floppy disks. Still. That's how old their computers are. The computers that are in the classrooms are more advanced than the computers that are being used at your state and district level. Go and check one day. Well, I know for Baltimore City, I can tell you. Yeah. And Baltimore and in Maryland, I used to work for the juvenile justice system. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Still had the space for the floppy disk and the hard disk. Yep. Yes, sir and ma'am. Yes, sir and ma'am. Exactly. See? Kai's like, what's a floppy disk? I'm like, yep. Yep. Look it up. Oh, you just had a birthday? Well, happy belated. All right. Useful? Well, thanks. I appreciate that. All right. So let's see if we could. Let's do one, maybe two more. Okay. I'll see if I can make this one a little bit, just a tad bit challenging, especially the breakdown. I know. But I like to challenge you. So when people try to challenge you with like, oh, you don't know this. Yes, you do. Don't even say anything. Just solve the problem. Drop the pen or pencil. And I know a lot of people are like, why do you do math in pen? Because you can see it better. You don't think I'm nervous every time I go on here? Yeah, I am. Because I'm a human being and I make mistakes. And when I make a mistake, I just cross it out. There it is. You remember, guys, this is not Squid Games. So give this a try. Okay, we're going to have to learn a little bit with or play around with some numbers for the 384. So it's square root of 384, x to the 4th, y to the 3rd. Oregon Trail. Yep. It's not really a cassette tape, but for your reference, yeah, that will kind of make sense. Between the phone and the internet. And if you tried to get on AOL, which cracks me up that I still have parents using that as their email address. You guys crack me up. I'm like, wait, what? You use AOL? See? And there's a few. And I remember when AOL first came and they will drop a disc or like a CD. I remember when it went from a disc to a CD. Man, I'm old. And they will give you like a free one, like for you to do the AOLs. I probably have some downstairs in my basement somewhere in a box. If I ever come across it, I will flash it up on here for a live. I'm like a walking archive. Especially for education. Oh my gosh. And then, where is it? We used to have like sheets. I know it's hard for you to see. We used to have sheets of these things, where you have the transparency paper and you had the transparency pen and you wrote on there. That's what we used to write our notes on, and we thought we were fancy. I found a whole stack of them, and I was teaching kids how to do transformation and dilation and rotation and all that stuff with it. Yes, the projector, the hum. That's all we kept doing. Oh yeah, it did took forever to do anything. Yes, projector paper. Yep. I did too. I used to do so much on them. And oh, the carbon paper. Yep. We're all going back in time, people. We're all going back in time. Yes. Wanted to write on the projector. That was like a treat for my students. If they can write on the projector. Yep, it was a treat. I'll be like, you know what? All right, it's the last week. And I didn't even get the words or finish the sentence. I'm like, all right, and they're already like, grabbing paper, and they're sitting at their desk all drawing. And it was the quietest day of my life. I'm like, this is all I had to do for you all year? Just give you this, a paper? Man, if I wouldn't have known. All right, so let's give them their own radical. This is why everyone comes back to my lives. It's not the math. It's not the math. It's the nostalgia and the craziness. Okay. All right. Yes, we got this. Memory lane. I know, right? It's like you can smell the asbestos. Yeah, go ahead and tell me I'm lying. Please. They put our lives in danger every blessed day. I'm like, what? Oh, yeah, make sure you guys don't go down G Hall because we're doing asbestos removal this week. Say what? Asbestos. Like we don't have anything. That's all right. Just don't go by G Hall. G Hall is right by my classroom. So you're saying we're not going to have a breeze? Okay. Sick of them. All right. So the 384. Right. Exactly. Why are we in the building? Exactly. That was my complaint every time. And all I get is, oh, Audrey, you're so silly. No, I'm for real. So we had to play around with a few numbers. Okay, had to play around with the numbers. Sometimes I like to take what's under the radical and start dividing it either my perfects or my prime numbers. Since it was ending in 4, I decided, all right, let me use my perfects. So first I started off with 36 and I'm like, yeah, that's not going to work. Then I found 64. So when I divide 384 by 64, I'm going to get 6. Now, for those that are taking the GED, the ASVAB, they're never going to give you something this big. If anything, it might be like 121. If they do give you something in triple digits, it's going to be something that's a perfect, like square root of 121, square root of 144. They always do something like that. Okay, maybe they might throw in a square root of 196 just for shits and giggles, but that's as high as they're going to go. Okay, so square root of 64 is 8. And like I said, that square root of 6 is one of those special radicals, okay? One of those special prime radicals that can't be broken down. So if I can't break it down, I'm going to bring it down. All right. Now, we got the square root of x to the 4th. Since 4 is even, beautiful. Let's take half of that. So that will give us x squared. Okay, is this starting to get a little bit easier for you guys now? Now we have square root of y to the 3rd. Now, this is an odd number, just in case. So we could pull out one of those y's. Maybe I'll do it like this. And what remains is 2 of the y's. So the square root of y squared, remember the square root and the squares cancel each other out. So it will give me my y without the radical, but it will leave behind a square root of y. Maybe if I write it like this, you might understand how I went from here to here. All right. So these are all broken down. So what remains is whatever's not under a radical, we're going to put them together. So that will give me my 8x squared y. And what remains under a radical, we're just going to put them together, which is my 6y. All right. This is our answer. It physically cause you pain? Okay. I've never heard of that one before, but sure. It's okay. All right, you got it? Yay! All right. What am I repeating? All right. Since it's you, South Africa. Not like I had privileges or anything. All right, so we have our original. We split them up into their own radicals. After a while, this step is not going to be necessary, okay? But we need to figure out what was 2 numbers multiplied to give me 384, one being perfect, one being prime. So the square root of 84 gives me 8. Then we bring down the square root of 6. Now, for the square root of 8 to the 4th, when it's even and it's a square root, just take half of it. Half of 4 gives me 2. Now over here, this is odd number. So that means if I pull one of those y's out, so the square root of y, that's right here, pull that out. Okay, just making sure. For some reason, can you guys hear me? Hi, Michael. Okay, all right. I don't know why. My phone's like flashing the mute symbol. I don't know if it's just trying to tell me that I need to shut up or what. But anyway, I'm going to keep talking. So we have the square root of y squared times the square root of y. Because if I pull out that square root of y, what I'm going to have left is y squared. Now, the square root of y squared, the square and the square roots cancel each other out. So that gives me y. The square root of y, it's only square root of y to the first power, so it can't come out of that radical. So if I can't break it down, I bring it down. All right? So then I could gather all the ones that are not underneath a square root, so that's 8x squared and y. And then I gather everything that is under a square root. That gives me my 6 and my y. And then that will be my breakdown of my original. Okay. I know, right? I live in Maryland, and sometimes there'll be helicopters, but it doesn't sound like a helicopter. Like yesterday, I was on a live, and all of a sudden, my internet just went out because something flew over us, and all of a sudden, my Wi-Fi just went. And I'm like, whoa, something's happening. I don't know. Something's going to happen. Just have to. That's why I take my ass back to the gym, get in shape. Gotta be ready just in case I gotta run. Run to what? I don't know. But you know how we be. Oh, something happening? Run. Don't ask no questions. Just be in shape. Right? Just be in shape. So something's happening. Okay. So how I played around with the numbers. I played around literally with all the perfect squares. So I first started with the square root of 36. And I divided by the 384. And it gave me a decimal as an answer. Let me see. Oh, here we go. Let me just show you exactly what I did. Yeah, I know I'm not supposed to use a calculator, but here we are. All right. So I took the 384 and I divided by 36 and I got a decimal. But since it's large, that means it's going to have to be a large number that I'm dividing. So I took the 384 divided by 64 because it's an even number. And I got an answer of 6. And I was like, perfect. Because I know I can break down the square root of 64 because that's a perfect square root. And 6 as a square root is going to be prime because I can't break it down. So it's basically like guessing. Okay. So if we did 384 divided by 19, or were you thinking of 19 squared? Because I think you were thinking of 19 squared. But that would give you 361. So we're not dividing. We're actually kind of breaking down two numbers into multiplication. Okay. So the easiest way when you get numbers like this, use the square, like divide it by your perfect squares. Make sense? Okay. No problem, Jenny. All right. Okay, my dears. It is almost 8 o'clock. I need to see what these cats are up to because it is too damn quiet. You know how animals be. So, for those that are still here, 1, love you. Thank you. 2, it tells me a lot about your character because when things get tough, you don't just leave. Like, oh, okay, I don't know how to do this. You may complain. You feel like your head's about to explode, but you're still here, and I appreciate that. Can you believe today is the 13th? It's the middle of the month of October. Seriously, guys? Seriously? Before you know, forget Halloween. Before you know it, Thanksgiving will be here. Before you really know it, Christmas will be here. And before you really, really know it, you got to turn that heat on. And we all know that's money. But, so if anything, this book is basically Dunsville. So this was book number 6. I know Anthony will be so happy. But if you're wondering, like, this is my notebook. And I usually just come here live to basically promote my notebook. That's the reason why I'm on here. But then it just happened to turn into something great. All right. Zoink. I don't know what's going on. My phone's acting cray-cray. Whoops. Didn't mean to do that. All right. This must be almost time for me to get going. But in the back of my books, of my notebooks, I usually have a factor sheet. I usually have like a whole bunch of resources that can help remind you how to do certain concepts. Okay. So a lot of you guys have heard me said about this. So this one that is pink and yellow is for Algebra 1 and Algebra. Then I have another one that is green. That's for Algebra 2. Same concepts, but the reference stuff in the back is different. Okay. This is for Algebra 2 and Pre-Calculus. Then I also have a lefty version. Gotta love my lefties. They deserve love too. Okay. So I have a lefty version of the Algebra 1 and Algebra 2 book. And you can actually get all of these lovely books here. Let's see if it'll actually come up. Okay. All right, Jen. I will see you next time. Okay. So you can go here. Okay. To get also all my books. But here's the thing. I am currently working on something that is going to be hopefully beneficial, especially people that are starting all the way from the very beginning. So I have like all this coursework that I'm doing. If you want any private tutoring, just let me know. And as well as if you want any of the replays, just give me some time to do the replay for this one. So you can go here and you can just type in this. And there is a replay that says TikTok Lives. So give me some time to download this. Sometimes it's quick. Sometimes it's like 2-3 hours. I don't know. We'll see what's going to happen for tonight. But as soon as it's done, I definitely upload it so you guys can have options and you can watch all these things. Bring you. What do you mean? Can you bring my ASVAB? I know. I'm trying to show the whole thing. For some reason, my phone just does not. Oh, here we go. It just had a moment. It needed some time and attention, I guess. I don't know. Okay. Okay, what's the math included in ASVAB? Like almost everything. So basically adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, decimals, percents, fractions, doing rate and distance, rate and time, a lot of equation of the line, system of equations, volume, surface area, just basic geometry, a little bit of Pythagorean's theorem. And there are some lives that I do, and I think that's going to be tomorrow if I'm not mistaken, that I actually take snippets of the ASVAB for Dummies and I actually go through step by step, like some sample test questions, just to kind of build you up a little bit. But if you do need someone like more one-to-one attention, and you're like, okay, I understand this, or I'm about to take my test and I just want to do a quick review, just let me know, because I do private sessions as well. Okay. Sure. So I think I might be able to do that. Hi, Fins Nation. Not a problem. Any calculus and trig? There is going to be some trig, but basic trig. Like, do you know sine, cosine, and tangent? Do you know how to find the angle? Do you know how to find the side? So, but if anything intensive, unless you're going into Navy, that's calculus. If you're going into Army, if they can get you up to like Algebra 2, maybe even like pre-calculus, that would be great. Same with Air Force. Okay, but the ones that's really intensive is Navy for calculus. Okay. No problem. Thank you. And again, if you want to, Laura, if you want to kind of look at more of the videos, get yourself prepped up for more, yeah, definitely take a look here. Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and subscribe. That would be awesome. And then for GED, remember you have 1, 2, 3, and 4-point questions. Your 4-point questions are going to be system of equations, equation of a line, finding slope, parallel and perpendicular. Volume is definitely going to be in there. So you can't skip those. If you skip those problems, you're not going to pass the GED. Is that designed that way? So if you can get at least 3 or 4 of those questions and do well with the basic math, you'll pass it. Hands down, you'll pass it. Okay. All right, did awesome. Yeah, not a problem. Blue through algebra. Okay. Yeah. So if any of you guys are taking calculus and you need assistance, now I have 2 people I can refer you to. You have Mr. M. He goes by Mr. M here on TikTok. He actually tutors for calculus. And then we have Robert, the AP math guy. And he's on here as well. Is Robert, the AP math guy. And he does all AP and does calculus as well. So if you need that, you can do it. Missed it by 2 points, and that's all right. But see, here's my thing, Jasmine. When are you taking it again? Don't take forever to take it again. When are you planning on taking it again? In 2 weeks? Okay, perfect. So if the week of you want to do like a session with me, okay, and of course it is a paid thing, I had to say it, but it seems to be very helpful for some people. I'm not sure if Janice is still here. If anything, if you need some other people to tell you what I do before you make that decision, let me know. Okay. All right. I usually just pop in, usually in the evening or afternoon, but tomorrow it's going to be like afternoon for tomorrow. Because fortunately I have a lot of tutoring clients tomorrow. Okay. Navy. Yes. Can't answer. Oh yeah. Justin. The struggle is real, my darling. The struggle is real. Yeah. Yeah. DM me, Jasmine. Definitely DM me. And we'll figure out a date and a time so we can get you ready. So I can do a couple tweaks so we can get you a little more confident. Because I think the only thing, if it's 2 points, it's probably because of slope. It's always slope. Because they weigh heavy on the slope for the 4-point questions. Slope and equation of the line. Yep, Justin, I'm telling you. The struggle is real. But at the same time, everyone's going into the military for different reasons, which is great. But we all come from different backgrounds. Some people were given opportunities. Some people had to leave school early because they had to take care of their younger siblings. I know people that left school around the age of 10, and some people a lot younger because they had to take care of their younger siblings because of, parents got arrested or grandmother passed away or whatever the reasonings are, But now people are starting to say, I really want to do something. I really want to step up and do things, and I love that. All right. Alrighty, everyone. Well, this was fab. Thank you so much for coming in. Thank you for your time and your attention. I think I covered everyone's question, but if I didn't, can you just ask it again? Am I Medea? In the classroom, Medea was probably taking notes from me. I'm going to be truthful. Lolita, I'm going to be truthful. Yeah, I was one of those teachers that you just did not play with. Quick story. At one of my schools, they had the whole no cell phone. This is when cell phones were starting to build up population, the Nokia cell phones. And this one person just got a brand new cell phone and just kept looking at it. I'm like, seriously, dude, it's not going anywhere. So I'm teaching and I asked the person to put the phone away. I'm going to give you time at the end of class that you can look at your phone, all that stuff. I was kind of cool that way. But I knew there was a patch of grass outside of my window. And this one time, I just grabbed the kid's phone, opened the window, chucked it out, and hit the patch of grass. It's fine. It's not going to do. I already did it as an example. Closed the window and kept on teaching. And he was like, I got to go get my phone. I'm like, go ahead. I'm not giving you a pass. And since then, everyone knows me as the teacher that used to throw phones out the window. I know. And my principal didn't know because all the kids were like, they're like, what? I know. I was like, dude, put your phone away. I'm one of those type of people that I'm firm, but I'm fair. You go through something, hey, that's fine. I had kids that used to work for construction, like when they did construction overnight for the roads. And this kid, when you look at him, he looks 30, right? That Similac was hitting hard. So he would come into school and I'm like, dude, I got him first period. I'm like, what is wrong? What is going on? He's like, oh, I got a new job and he has to take care of his younger siblings. And he got a new job, which required him to work throughout the night. So he's like, I want to tell you what it is, but I don't want to tell you. I'm like, dude, who am I going to talk to? No one in the school doesn't like me. So keep going. And he told me that he used to do construction overnight and he's just coming from the job. So he gets really tired. And I'm like, all right, so this is what we're going to do. I just need for this work to be done and then you can take a nap. And I was one of those teachers that had a couch in the back of my classroom and I can turn the back lights off and he can take a nap. So I'm like, you do my work and you go in the back and you take a nap. And he did. Kid got an A in my class, so I'm going to work with you, I'm really going to work with you. 5 minutes and then play Scrabble off of, oh my God. Yeah. See, here's my thing. If we get the work done, and I'm one of those teachers that I never gave homework on the weekends because I know the kids were not going to do it. They're going to stress themselves out Sunday night and they're going to come in Monday morning with a bunch of garbage. So that's why I was like, let me eliminate myself in stressing and straining, thinking that I'm a bad teacher because the kids are just going to take the homework, shove it in that black hole called a book bag, maybe open it up with the old sandwich that's been sitting in that bag since Friday. And now all of a sudden they're like, oh, I got homework. No. If we work our butts off Monday through Thursday and do some work, some financial fun stuff on Friday, then I'm cool. Are you learning? Yes. Are we progressing? Yes. Were we always up and above on the curriculum compared to other teachers? Yes. Did I have a lot of kids with special ed? Yes. Did I have a lot of kids that were honors and Yes, I had mixtures of kids. I had the kids that people never wanted in their classrooms. And I said, bring that baby onto my class. I don't care how you feel about that kid can learn. And that's how I've always been. And that's how I always will be. That type of person. Okay. All right. It's like, she ain't teaching. Right. And see, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't want to be the cool teacher because cool teachers sometimes mean that you can just sit around and do nothing. No, I want you to be educated. I don't care, white, black, Puerto Rican, Asian, it doesn't matter. When you leave out of my classroom, you're going to learn something and you're going to figure out ways to get what you need to get. So let's learn, let's do it. But at the same time, we can have fun, but I'm not here to dumb things down to you. No, refuse. Absolutely refuse. Now I got kids that are models and husbands and wives and working in construction. I got this one kid that's just flourishing when it comes to real estate. Like, dude, ridiculous. Love it. And I love seeing my kids flourish on Facebook. I see some of them here on TikTok, modeling, singing, rapping, just doing what they want to do. And that makes my heart sing. Makes my heart sing so much. They have no idea how I pray for them, how I cry for them. I lost a lot of students either through, what do they call it now? Unaliving themselves. I've lost some students with car accidents. The one tragic was last year. One of my students, her sister killed her. Like, slit her throat like she was a pig. What? No idea why. No freaking idea why. Crushed. Like every day. Like I get on these lives and there's times I'll just start crying because I'm just so grateful that I'm given an opportunity to do this. Because years ago, this wouldn't be here. And the fact that you're listening, it just speaks volumes. So, but anyway, I know it does. You know, it's nice to have subs. Yep. It's nice to, there's people that are unhappy, but there's a lot of people here that have so much love and attention, but they want to learn, you know, and just wasn't given the opportunity to learn. So now we're using TikTok, we're using Facebook, we're using all those devices, to learn. And I love that. And just to be a part of it makes me really happy. All right. So we're going to leave on a positive note. I think you guys are amazing. I know it's late. It's like 8:13 right here. Again, I'm hearing my cats running back and forth. So God knows what they're doing. I'm going to open the door and they're going to look at me like, what? We didn't do anything. All right, both of y'all outside. just go hunt, do whatever cat stuff you guys do. Just, do it safely. But I will be on tomorrow afternoon. I'm sorry I can't put a schedule out. It seems like when I don't have a schedule out, that's when I don't have too many trolls or bots coming in, as well as I get more people that are more attentive. So thank you. I appreciate that. You guys are amazing as well. I mean, the world just needs to see your greatness. And if math is the reason why they can't, well, then let me help you break it down. Okay? Let me help you break it down because you can definitely get this done. All right, everyone. So I'm going to end up. So I will see you on the flip side. I'll see you tomorrow. I might be doing some PSAT stuff because I know some of the kids are doing PSATs. But I'll definitely be doing some AP and some GED stuff throughout the week, as well as your HES and your T's. Okay? HES and the T's, a lot of it is just basic algebra. So you can get a lot of knowledge even during those individual sessions that I put up there. Like this weekend, I did a lot of stuff with ASVAB. But guess what? A lot of those questions are the same type of questions that you will get. They're the same type of questions that you will get through your TEAS test, your GED, your ACCUPLACER, your ASVAB, all of that. Okay, so even though I may do specialized things, still come in because you could still learn something. Okay? All right. All right, my babies. Have a good night. If you need anything, just go ahead and message me and I will message you back. All right? Take care. Have a great night. Bye now.